Good evening, everyone. This is student meteorologist Zach Richards bringing you your Tuesday night FSU weather. And wow, what a beautiful look tonight over Doak Campbell Stadium. The sun just shining there over the stadium and the beautiful conditions at 77 degrees. So there's mostly cloudy skies. We've cleared out a little bit though since we've had those showers earlier today. That has kept things pretty cool around the Big Bend, but not feeling very refreshing out there. The dew points have been just awful. Mid-70s really for everyone. This is 10 to 20 degree higher dew points than we have seen the last couple of days. Really these rounds and rounds of rain as you look here towards the west, they've all come from this Lake City area. And really as we get into the show tonight, that's also of course associated with Tropical Storm Eta. Where will Eta go and how will it affect our weather? We're going to get into all that tonight. Big Bend everywhere needs to watch out, and when our next cold front could be coming through and how will that affect Eta? FSU Weather Tuesday edition starts right now.
Happy Tuesday and good evening, Tallahasseans. Our biggest storyline, of course, is Tropical Storm Eta, which is currently a little bit west of the Dry Tortugas, aka Key West. And tropical storm watches have been issued all the way up the west coast and might be pending in our area, depending how close Eta just gets. So our biggest takeaways of Eta is indeed if tropical storm in Tallahassee is very much in the cone of uncertainty. However, we do know there's a lot of shear and cooler sea surface temperatures, and it should weaken quite a bit, and it might not even be a storm when it gets here. So impacts should not be too significant other than a couple of miserable hours of rain and some breezy conditions. In addition to Eta, we know is very warm and humid outside, so it was 87 degrees. So very much feeling not like November and feeling like September. And we also have additional storms. We have Tropical Storm Theta that has formed down in the mid-Atlantic. It will not be a threat as it stays away in the Atlantic Ocean. And we also have Invest 90 in the Caribbean that we will have to watch out for. But right now it looks like any threats will be contained to Central America, which we hope it doesn't form at all because we know that they got devastated by Eta earlier. And so quite an interesting time to have tropics this busy, surpassing the 2005 season. So for the rest of the show, we'll talk about any showers to expect. You have to watch out for any little storm surge inundations, which we don't think we should have that issue. And then in the long range, hopefully a cool front will be coming in next Monday, and we can start to get some of that December air as we head into that season that I really want to have. So for our forecast, we'll definitely continue to stay humid, and now we're going to bring it off to the desk and we're going to jump right into it.
Yeah, before we get to all the talking about tropics and the nation and Florida forecast, we're going to take a look at our local forecast. Here's a live look at Doak Campbell Stadium. Look at that absolutely fantastic sunset there behind the stadium. Currently, the temperature is 77 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. It feels a little bit warmer than that because of the humidity and the dew points being on the muggy side. We have a northeast wind at 3 miles per hour. Today we actually tie our record high of 87 degrees here in Tallahassee. That was set back in 1986, and the low this morning was 74 degrees, which is nowhere near the record in 1961. That was 28 degrees. We are a little bit above average as far as temperatures go for this time of year. Hour by hour, we started off at 74 degrees, you can't see it on here, but 75 degrees at 6 a.m. We slowly went up to 87. It was actually really warm out there with the humidity and the dew points, and currently the temperature is 77 degrees. And looking around the Big Bend area, Bainbridge is currently at 78, Thomasville at 75, and here in Tallahassee 77. And if I step out of the way and look down here in the corner, you see Apalachicola 81 degrees, and the dew points are up. It is muggy out there, making it feel warmer than the temperature actually is. Thomasville, you have a dew point of 73, here in Tallahassee 75, and Apalachicola 74. And the showers are on the move out of the southeast in response to Eta pumping up moisture out of the Caribbean and the Atlantic Ocean in our direction. So we'll have these fast-moving showers throughout the night, and for the next few days. And looking at the water vapor imagery, you can see here is Tropical Storm Eta hanging in there. I'm telling you what, we'll talk more about it later, but there's a lot of dry air off to the west that is inhibiting the storm from getting stronger. There's also a lot of shear, but we'll talk about that in our tropics section coming up in a little bit. The next 24 hours, just fast-moving showers moving through the area. Nothing severe, just quick movers on those quick winds out of the southeast, and we'll continue to have mostly cloudy skies over the next few days with increased rain chances. Tonight's lows around the Big Bend area, you see anywhere from 73 in Bainbridge, 73 in Tallahassee and Perry, 73 degrees, and tomorrow's highs in the mid-80s on the warm side with scattered showers and storms, 84 degrees in Bainbridge, 86 in Perry, and St. Mark's, you expect a high temperature of 81 degrees. And tonight, 74 with showers around for tonight in Tallahassee, south-southeast winds at 3 miles per hour. Tomorrow, 84 degrees with scattered showers, mostly cloudy skies, and east winds at 5 miles per hour. In the week ahead, the rain chances continue to come up as we go to Thursday and Friday, 50% there on Friday, and then 60%, 50% on the weekend. So bring your umbrella with you wherever you go. So what's going on in tropics, Zach? Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so everybody's been kind of really interested, of course, in Eta. So tonight on the FSU Weather Hurricane Center, Eta is front and center, and really it's the closest thing we're watching, but may not be the last storm we have to talk about. This list has changed a little bit since I was up here last. Eta, of course, but now we have Theta that's making its way and could in the next couple of days be on its way towards Portugal and Spain. So the Iberian Peninsula might get their second taste of a tropical system this year. And then, of course, we have an Invest down in the Caribbean. We'll get to that. Iota is the next storm name. So, man, we are just chugging along through the list. There's Tropical Storm Eta right there now. A nice little burst of convection there around the center the last couple hours. So it's starting to look a little healthier. So it's definitely something we need to watch here in Florida. Now here's the current projected cone. The National Hurricane Center, they've been having some trouble with this one. So right there's the current initial position just to the northwest there of the coast of Cuba, and generally making a due north track there, kind of sort of towards the Tallahassee area. So, relatively close to Tallahassee potentially as we get into this weekend. Now, how will Eta interact with the front that's coming down? That's something we also kind of need to watch. Of course, I've been in front of the current information there, but 60 miles an hour right now, storm. Why is Eta not stronger? Well, probably one of the biggest inhibiting factors is all of this brown, dry air right here. It's kind of getting sucked into the system now. It's managed to close itself off a little bit. As you can see, it's pretty round and circular right now. Yesterday, the dry air really had gotten sucked up into the storm, and South Florida was even seeing some of that dry air. So it's something we are going to have to kind of watch. As we go on into time there, we have tropical alerts. You can see the tropical storm watches there off the coast as going up towards Tampa and up towards almost the Cedar Key area. I expect these to continue to make their way northward as time goes on, as the track becomes more certain. And of course, the Keys there just off the coast, that is the tropical storm warning. You are under those conditions right now. Really quickly, let's take a look at Tropical Storm Theta. Now, this whole thing isn't Theta. This is actually a cold front that's draped out, and that impacted us. That was the last cold front that actually hit here in Tallahassee. And there is Theta, that little tiny little dot right there, basically. But it has 70-mile-an-hour winds. Like I said, generally probably making its way, if it holds together, towards the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal, and Spain. Really need to watch this. And then Invest 98L, will this become Iota? Currently right now located to the south there of San Juan and Puerto Rico. Generally will probably be making its way to the north and the east as per north and west as per climatology. So now, thank you for watching the FSU Weather Hurricane Center. Hayden, take it off.
Yeah, it's 2020 when you're running out of time in that 3-minute tropical graphic. Goodness gracious, this year. Well, anyways, let's jump to a better pattern in the southeast. 78 in New Orleans, 77 Tallahassee, and you can see that cold front. That color gradient's really starting to come in place. And of course, trusty Florida can always be hot, humid, and rainy. Tampa, 80 degrees. So for our dew points, they kind of reflect our situation. So in the eastern side of Florida, we have a tropical system coming up, really pushing some of that moisture into the area. 73 in Orlando, 68 in Tampa, and our area 75 Tallahassee, which is extremely, extremely humid. Yeah, that's the type of humidity that just sits on your shirt and you start sweating. And then as we go into the southeast, our next defining feature is that cold front that's coming into our area. Although I do want to emphasize this front is going to dramatically weaken, and it kind of will drift off into our area, and that kind of will interact with Eta too, further imparting shear. But for our area, really, it'd be too much of a temperature change until later next week when a new system comes in. So for the winds right now, a predominantly east wind, particularly around a high pressure, and then around Key West, 25 miles per hour. Definitely on the outskirts of Eta coming in, so you can kind of see what wind we're going to deal with here. Nothing too strong. I think 25 miles per hour is a pretty reasonable estimate of what we could be receiving in our near future. So our future radar, there are some showers arcing over Miami, and then same thing in the northern part of the state into Georgia. Just showers really funneling in around a cyclonic motion, and especially around South Carolina and Georgia right now. You can definitely see some moisture. And of course, jumping west into Louisiana, into Texas, you can see that cold front bringing some clouds and some showers into our western parts of the area. So that is what we're dealing with in the southeast. A pretty dynamic setup, honestly. So for our south, we can see bubbling Eta with some of that convection. We actually see a upper level low kind of tangled with it, imparting some shear and bringing us some higher cloud totals. And then this next feature here, this strip of clouds, that is our cold front that is coming in with some dry air to the west, and unfortunately it will sag before it gets to our area. So for tonight's forecast, 50 degrees in Little Rock, 50 in Shreveport, and then dramatically shifting to a tropical air mass with 77 in Tampa, 73 in Tallahassee. So really a tale of two seasons. And then for tomorrow's forecast, much of the same with cooler conditions up in Tupelo and Little Rock with 80 degrees, mid-80s, and thunderstorms in our area. And so we will definitely be having quite a contrast of weather that we're going to be witnessing. And so now we're going to bring it over to our next segment with David.
All right, Hayden. Yeah, let's zoom out into the big picture and look at these warm temperatures in the southeast. It is currently just really warm in the southeast. It's not going to continue though, because next week we will have a cold front move through. So where's all that cold air at? Well, it's actually up here in the upper plains and up towards Canada, around Montana and North Dakota and South Dakota and Minnesota. This cold air pocket up here is going to make its way down over the next week and move into the southeast and cool most of us off, except for maybe Florida, because the cold front's not going to make it the whole way into Florida. Maybe it's going to, kind of wash out when it gets here, just kind of miss us and go, north of here. But anyways, we will have some cooler weather come in eventually over the next 7 to 8 days. And you can see out here in California, they're getting a little bit some more moisture and rain out here. There's been a couple storms impulses that have come off the Pacific Ocean and give them some moisture, but maybe a little bit to sort of alleviate the drought that's going out there, but it's probably just a drop in the bucket. And like I said, the southeast is the warm spot of the country, 78 in New Orleans, and you get down to Miami where it's really muggy because of Tropical Storm Eta. And here's just the current dew point. It's very, very dry on 2/3 of the nation currently out, west and in the central part of the U.S. And all the mugginess seems to be on the east side ahead of the cold front. Can you find the cold front? Yes, you can. The contrast between the high dew points and the low dew points pictures sets where the cold front is lined up currently in the United States. And we have a storm system making its way into the northwest, bringing some snow to the higher elevation, some rain into the valleys. And as we move to the central part of the United States here, you see a low pressure with that cold front that's not going to make it through yet to Tallahassee, because we're still under high pressure here. And down here, you can barely see Eta spinning down there, hanging on to dear life. And it's supposed to weaken over the next couple of days, over the next week or so. So hopefully that will do that so that we just get rain and not a lot of wind. Water vapor, like Zach was saying earlier, this dry brown air here is keeping Eta from strengthening. And here you can see the low pressure system and the trough associated with it. This is going to make its way into the southeast and bring some cooler air to Georgia and to us eventually. You see the drought monitor, like I said, it's very dry out here out west. They need lots of rain and snow. Lots of snow this winter to help alleviate. It's like half of the nation is without and the other part of the nation is with too much. And so that seems to be the story for 2020 currently. Tonight's lows around the nation, you see lows 26 in Denver, and Albuquerque 31. There's all that cold air behind the cold front. And on the front of the cold front, you see temperatures are on the warmer side with 66 in Atlanta, 72 here in Tallahassee. And tomorrow's forecast highs, not very much of a high in Billings at 30 degrees, but that's your high because it is becoming winter time up there. Most of the warm air, like I said, is in Florida with highs in the mid-80s. And now I'm going to hand things off to Hayden to take a look at the local forecast once again.
Yeah, that drought monitor is not going to get, it's going to continue to stay wet, especially that tropical system. We do not expect any yellows anytime soon in our Tallahassee area. So look, taking a glance over at Doak Campbell Stadium, you can see that beautiful pink sky with that sunset, and some looks like some purples with some clouds highlighted there. Awesome scene. One of the best I've actually seen in my 4 years. I'm currently at 77 degrees, mostly cloudy. A light northeast wind, though we do know that wind will probably be picking up in the next couple of days, but nothing too strong. Temperature-wise, Tallahassee is 77 degrees. Apalachicola 81 and mid-70s around our area. You can actually see this yellow spot is indicating temperatures in the 70s where that rain came through earlier and really cooled the air off. And so if it was not for that rain, we'd be in the 80s right now. And that's really indicative of that humid air mass, 75 Tallahassee. Perry's out, 74 Valdosta, 75 in Quincy. You get the picture. It is like July humidity out there. And that's honestly what it feels like with a high of 87 today. Not too far from what we'd expect. Our wind speeds are a northeast wind. This is a contribution of some of that cyclonic vorticity and around the high pressure system. We get a northeast wind that it'll be it's pretty brisk, a little breezy, but nothing too strong. And this wind is also affecting in some moisture and some rain. Looks like there's a pretty decent show popping up, going to go into Carabel. That rain shower earlier is now moved into Bay Bridge and Dothan. And then around the I-75 corridor actually looks pretty good with some drying conditions. And I think Tallahassee should be free of rain for most of the time. Of course, we can't rule out a shower, but for tomorrow, you can see numerous patches of rain have come by. But it looks like around 6 p.m., most of the area is cleared out with some blue skies. So maybe expect some showers and thunderstorms in the late morning and early afternoon, with conditions looking much better. So for tonight, 74 degrees, cannot rule out a shower, but it should be mostly dry. Winds will be south-southeast at 3 miles per hour ahead of that tropical system coming in and along with that humid flow. And then same thing for tomorrow, today, 84 degrees, mostly cloudy, sporadic showers passing by on the east breeze. And then for our week ahead, it's really going to be quite nice as we head later on in the week, but we're about to get there first. Thursday and Friday, we'll be dealing with the remnants of Eta, or maybe even Depression Eta. 79 degrees, definitely some rain. Saturday and Sunday, we'll start to dry off as we get into more of a normal pattern outside of Eta. And then look at Tuesday, 67 with a low of 49 degrees. That is going to be refreshing, and I cannot wait. So saying all that, we're going to pass over to our destination out with Zach Richards.
Yeah, thanks, Hayden. You know, we've been talking a lot about Eta. We've been talking a lot, here locally. What are the impacts of Eta going to be? We're going to talk a little bit more about that and some of the factors that could kind of play into the forecast. Now, Eta's been tricky. The Hurricane Center and everyone has done a pretty good job so far this year, kind of coming up with the track, kind of coming up with, where the system is going to go. This time around, the system is moving very slowly. The track has been very weird. And now, at least earlier today, it was stationary. It's moving very, very slowly now, if at all. We generally think it's going to start to move towards the north as time goes on. If you look at Eta right now, it's kind of centered there over, just to the north and west of Cuba. And then we generally think it's going to drift, towards the north. As you saw in the national picture, we have a couple of areas of high pressure. But those highs are kind of constraining Eta. It doesn't really have anywhere to easily get to. So we're going to have to watch that. As it gets further on into time, just how strong Eta becomes will actually also impact its track. Like I said, as time goes on, the front is going to approach. So we have the front to look out for. If the system is stronger, it has higher cloud tops, and that means more area for those winds to kind of push Eta along. If Eta stays weaker, those clouds, of course, are shorter, they're smaller, they're less dense. There's less for the storm to kind of get pushed by, and it kind of just bobbles along. Also, we have the dry air to talk about. right there to the west of the system. You can see, all that brown, represents extremely dry air over a good part of the Gulf of Mexico. So that will probably also be inhibiting Eta as it moves north. Generally, why we continue to think it's going to weaken. Hurricane Eta, not impossible, but unlikely. Tropical Storm Eta, much more likely. And then, of course, Depression Eta, or even just some remnants by the time it gets into Tallahassee, are totally, totally possible. So Hayden's now going to take us a look at Florida and, the statewide picture. How's Eta going to treat Florida, Hayden?
I hope Eta is going to be nice. I hope it's a treat and not a trick. I know we're past the season, but I still feel like it applies. Looking around the temperatures currently around the state, it actually looks like it's going to be a treat. 77 Fort Myers, 78 in Miami, 80 in Key West. So of course, we've had a lot of flooding in this area. Like I said, right now the weather does look very manageable and quite okay. The exception looks like Tampa. They shower around 80 degrees, but most of the state looks like it's in pretty good shape, trying to recover from any flooding rains here. But still very humid in Miami, of course, 76, 73 in Key West in proximity to that storm. Definitely humid. And same thing in Tallahassee, 75. When you see Tallahassee, Miami don't have a dew point difference, it's very humid outside. And so through our state, I said most conditions are dry. It looks like we do have a pretty potent shower over Lake Okeechobee right now. We have some showers up into Jacksonville, into Savannah, but the state of Florida looks pretty good. A lot of that rain has cooled off with all that loss of daytime heating. So if you're living in Miami, you're like, okay, what does this storm entail? What are we going to have? It looks like it's going to be okay for you, especially on the east coast of Florida. We're going to have highs in the mid-80s with some afternoon thunderstorms, and also Friday, 20% chance of rain. So definitely warm, but definitely nothing too worried about. For Tampa, 84 degrees. On Wednesday, 83 on Thursday, and you will have something to worry about possibly with Eta approaching. You might get some outer bands. We don't think it's going to be too strong, but I definitely can't rule some heavy winds and some rainy conditions. I know a lot of Tampa floods very easily, so it's definitely something you want to monitor, especially on Pasco County, as those low-lying areas. And then with Orlando, same thing, a lot of rain, 70% chance on Thursday. And Wednesday, Friday, we'll have a 40% chance of rain. You're a little further from the storm, but we do expect some muggy conditions to continue. But it looks like Orlando, we will be able to manage our forecast. And then Jacksonville, Thursday, 100% chance of rain. We think Eta is going to be around our area, somewhere around the Big Bend. So definitely Jacksonville could see some moisture, some feeder bands overall. It should not be anything too crazy. And then for Pensacola, of course, Thursday and Friday actually looks much drier. Temperatures in the low 80s. So if you want to hit the beach, maybe watch out for those rip currents because it might be a little gutsy out there. But overall, it looks like Pensacola's forecast is going to be pretty good, if not a little bit warm, being the only complaint, which we will take in this year. So tonight's forecast, mid-70s dominate, some higher 70s up in the Keys, and we cannot rule out a shower thunderstorm. It is just so humid. I would not be surprised if anything popped up in the night. And then tomorrow's forecast temperatures will be in the mid-80s. There will be some higher cloud cover, maybe towards Pensacola. But overall, it should be pretty comfortable for feeling any storm conditions. And now we're going to pass over to Zach Richards for his forecast.
Yeah, so let's take one last look here at Doak Campbell Stadium. The sun slowly been setting, and man, isn't this a gorgeous picture? I'm going to stay here out of the way for a second. Look at this. Look at the sun after a really nasty looking kind of day. The sun is finally setting, but the lights are shining bright at Doak Campbell Stadium. Still 77 degrees. We have those mostly cloudy conditions. The northeasterly winds, as we kind of talked about the whole show, but they're light. This isn't gusty. We expect those winds to increase, however, as Eta kind of comes closer. It was about 74 was our low today. That's all the cooler it got. If you remember just a few days ago, last Tuesday it was 39 degrees as the low. So it's pretty incredible how things have changed. It was 87 today before that rain came in. So overall, the rain has kind of moderated the temperatures, but it has been worse. It's feeling kind of crappy out there right now. It's feeling kind of wet and muggy and all that as time goes on. Look at the muggy meter right now. Everyone's pretty unhappy. We got some tongue sticking out there. It's bad, guys. Oppressive humidity just for everyone. The satellite and radar showing those bands of showers moving from the southeast to the northwest. This is all associated with Eta. Eta is really pumping up that moisture from the southeast. We expect that to continue. Moving a little bit farther now, Lake City right now, you're pretty dry. In the general next couple of hours or so, you should be okay. And over towards Jacksonville, you're pretty okay too. Looking at a little bit of showers there off the coast might try to work their way in. The next 24 hours are showing the continued rounds of showers coming from that same direction as Eta continues to pull up that moisture as it gets a little bit closer. So we're going to stay under the effect of Eta even as it kind of remains offshore. 84 degrees tomorrow if you are going to head to the beach. We still have those east-northeasterly winds, 15 to 20 knots, so the wind's really kicking up a little bit. Watch out for those rip currents. The seas are going to be choppy. Skies are still going to remain kind of partly cloudy. So tonight in Tally, 74 degrees, keeping those showers around that south-southeasterly wind, right around 3 miles an hour, nothing too crazy. And tomorrow, 84 degrees, we have those mostly cloudy conditions, and the wind east at 5 miles an hour, so we're still not looking here locally at those winds too crazy yet. However, you can see the rain chances increasing Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is where we're really going to start to see the bulk of Eta, especially as we get into Friday and Saturday right now. Now, we have a football game we're going to have to keep an eye out on if you are going out for any festivities or, tailgating. Hopefully do be safe if you are going to be outside, but there is going to be some rain in the forecast. Temperatures are moderate, but then as we get into next week, if we can get past Eta, look at that. The sun is out on Monday, the sun is out on Tuesday, and on Tuesday we have a high right now of 67 degrees. So if we can just make it through Eta and a few more days of these really muggy temperatures, David, this is not looking too bad. If we can make it, we have a prize at the end.
Yes, we do, Zach. So it seems like the moral of the story is take your umbrella with you for the next 5 days because there are going to be showers in the area, and whatever Eta decides to do or where to go may give us more rain or less rain, but the system is expected to weaken. So for the next 5 days, expect there to be rain, and football game is going to be in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. We take on the Wolfpack. Its kickoff is at 7:30, and they're actually going to have rain showers there also. So make sure you bring your umbrella if you're listening to us in North Carolina and going to go to the game on Saturday. And then next week, things will clear up again. We'll have some cooler weather, drier weather. The sun will come back out again in full force. And look at those lows. That low on Monday at 49 degrees. Wow, that is campfire weather if I've ever seen it. So yes, this is our show for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Continue to monitor, follow us on Twitter. Leave us a picture on Twitter, and look us up on Facebook at facebook.com/FSU weather, and watch us live Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. And also follow us on Instagram and post some pictures so we can put some pictures on the show. Always looking for weather pictures, rainbows, clouds, any kind of weather picture. We'd love to put it on the show for you and acknowledge that you shared it with us. And so, yes, we're going to continue to monitor Eta and see where Eta goes, and the hurricane season is not over yet. We have Theta, which is not going to affect us at all, but so continue to just watch us, and we'll continue to give you the updates on the weather. I am student meteorologist David Stoltz. Thank you for watching FSU Weather. Have a great evening, and we will not be on tomorrow, but catch us on Thursday.